Hello and welcome to Talkin' Baseball. Are the Dodgers done or finished? Are the Yankees done or finished? Pat Hoberg's on Ipe Island. Let's talk ball.
We both win.
Baseball wins. Hello and welcome to Talkin' Baseball, presented to you by SeatGeek. Use code TALKIN10. Go to any event. SeatGeek has literally everything, but go check out some baseball. It's that time of year. Code TALKIN10. Get 10% off your next order. I don't know. Go see Ryan McMahon steal home. Go see Shota Imanaga just ooze on the mound of whatever curse me and him have. Watch it ooze out of him. Code TALKIN10. 10% off at SeatGeek. Trevor, Trevor Tooth is back. Father's Day. Birthday weekend, Trev. How we doing?
It was a big weekend.
It
was a big weekend for me. I had a lot of youth baseball in the mornings, like kind of some late nights. Hence the glasses. I don't think you guys want to see these eyes. Yeah, get it. Oh, yeah. Get a Shota?
Yeah.
Okay. No, I had a great weekend. Went to dinner on Saturday night with my family to a really nice Italian place. Ate till I couldn't eat anymore, which was nice. Drove home.
Ooh.
So, I had a couple glasses of red, and then yesterday we had a nice little Father's Day get-together.
Wow.
Bunch of the boys and played some Frisbee. You know how it goes in this neighborhood. Frisbee, some Modelo's. That's how we do it, man.
Do you throw a good disc?
I do.
A lot of
when you go to an all-boys school for high school, like Frisbee, hacky sack just kind of comes with the territory, man. At lunchtime, what else are you going to do?
Yeah, I mean, I think you misjudged that there's just a couple gap years between you and hacky sack. That it fell off. So I look at you with the coffee. That's awesome. I will say I'm not good at throwing the disc, but man, we had an ultimate phase and Lil Poppy would go and get it. Cause my first step's just not the same.
Okay.
So I'm gone.
See, we're not like a competitive Frisbee, like.
Right. You're doing like
date.
Trick Frisbee. Like, oh.
Yeah.
All right. We've lost everyone. A lot of good ball this weekend. Trev, I mentioned my Yankees. A historic Sunday night performance, allowing that many stolen bases against them. So that's exciting. Dodgers got the injury bug going on. Phillies with their first tough week in a while. But Trey Turner comes back. And the Mets are the hottest team in baseball, obviously. So, Pat Hoberg, perfect game, Pat. Is baseball hot?
It's so hot. Let's get into it. It's Monday. You
Monday.
Know what that means.
Interleague Monday. You know what? We just did SeatGeek. Let's just rip the Interleague right now. Kevin Gossman's hot. And because I said Kevin Gossman, we'll start with his Orioles. The Orioles take 2 out of 3 from the Phillies. Phillies, they took game 1. Ranger Suarez and Kyle being Bradish in game 1. Pump that into my veins. We're going extras. Each team scored in the 10th. There were reviews all over this series getting overturned. The Phillies, after winning that first game in 11, the Orioles take the final 2. They knock Zach Wheeler around the park. 4 home runs. You don't see that a lot as Corbin Burns and Grayrod the night before on the other side get it done. Santander, 2-homer day. Colton Cowser, the milkman. Daddy? Orioles take 2 out of 3. Yankees lose 2 out of 3 to the Boston Red Sox. They do the same. They won the first game. Luis Gil, sure, Verdugo. Revenge game. Things fall apart. Carlos Rodon gets knocked around. Jarren Duran stays hot. Tyler O'Neill. And then on the final game, 10 stolen bases? They kind of embarrassed the Yanks on the national stage, doing whatever they wanted. And a big week for Boston as they take down the Yanks and the Phillies. Speaking of a big week, a big month, maybe a big year, in Seattle, the Mariners sweep the Texas Rangers. Oh, God. Luis Castillo, who currently has the worst whip of their starting pitchers, started off with 6 innings, 2 earned runs. George Kirby says, I'll one-up you with 6 innings, 0 earned runs. And then Logan Gilbert plays his trump card of 8 innings, 0 earned runs. The Mariners can throw the pill, and now that Mitch Garver's giving them some games, Julio grabbed the stretch. Luke Riley. Seattle is actually playing a great brand of baseball, and the Texas Rangers, half game ahead of Houston. We're getting to the standings later, where we'll talk about the Minnesota Twins taking 4 games against the Oakland Athletics. Oakland Athletics, L9 next to their column. Twins don't care, because Carlos Correa and Royce Lewis, Trev, that's real. Austin Martin in the outfield just grabbing homers? Why not us? Minnesota, eh? Yeah, if they're against Oakland. The Blue Jays. Will this matter? They take 2 out of 3 against the Guardians. Okay. Guardians join the club of good teams who won the first game, but then lose the next couple. IKF, Dalton Varsho grand slam. Huge in that final game. Bowden Francis with 4 clean innings. That'll get it highlighted. Blue Jays win that final game, a 1-run game, 7-6. Gets a little nervous late. Brian Rocchio's 2-run homer, but they hold serve. And hey, the Houston Astros, they take 2 out of 3 from Detroit. Detroit wins the middle game behind Jack Flaherty and Riley Green with 2 homers. Wenzel Perez and Colt Keith with 4 hits each. How's your future in Detroit? Outside of that, Hunter Brown, 7 shut. Ronel Blanco, 7 shut. With our guy, Jose Altuve. Houston holds serve. And that's what happened in the American League.
Like, you complimented the Twins, and then you didn't compliment them. You took it away.
You pick them up to put them down, you know?
I like that. That's fine.
You've got the standings, right?
Yeah, because it's Monday. Obviously, I start in the East with the Yankees, first to 50. How do you like that? 50-24, although, you mentioned they lost 2 out of 3 at Fenway. But they are 1.5 games up on the Baltimore Orioles. Those birds are 47-24. The Red Sox, 37-35, 2 games over 500, but 12 games back in the division. Toronto, 35-36, and Tampa Bay, 34-38. Is this the year we always say it? Like, one year, Tampa's not going to be good. I think this is it, Pop. We'll go out west because it's Monday. Seattle, wow, 8.5 game lead in that division, sitting at 43-31. The Rangers are in second place. They're 5 games under 500, 33-38. The Astros, 33-39, and then these other 2 teams. My goodness. The Angels, 28-43. The A's, 26-48. And then in the Central, Cleveland, a commanding 5-game lead in the division, 44-25. The Royals, who took 2 out of 3 from the Doyers, 41-32. My Twins, 40-32. And the Tigers, 34-37. And then the White Sox are they even a real team? They are 19-54. And right now, Minnesota and Kansas City hold the last 2 wild card spots. Boston, 3 games back. Toronto, 4.5 games back. So 3 teams in the AL Central in the playoffs as we speak. And those are the American League standings.
The mighty AL Central.
We always knew it was going to be that way.
We always say it. Orioles, well, I was going to say Blue Jays and Sox with some nice series wins lurking. Let's start out with the team that has been the first wild card for a while, the Baltimore Orioles. Trev, I complimented you last episode, and I said I loved how you said it. The Orioles love where they're at right now. The big bad wolf of the Yankees, they're stealing headlines, while meanwhile, the Orioles haven't been overachieving. They've just been achieving, and they sit today a game and a half back as they're about to play the New York Yankees. And they just took down the Phillies, almost swept them that Friday night. Our guy Dalton noted potential game of the year. We've got a rain delay. We've got a double review in the 10th inning of plays at the plate. The only bad news for the Orioles, Kyle Bradish leaves due to a sore elbow, UCL. He already missed 2 months with that, so you have to wonder what that means for the rest of his season. Otherwise, I mean, if you're the Birds, Grayrod gives you another big start. You get to Zach Wheeler, which teams just don't do that. That they are sitting, obviously they'd love to be in first place, but there's a little blood in the water, especially what happened with the Yankees last night. The baby Birds are feeling good.
Are they just going to run every single pitch? Is that the game plan?
Wasn't it you?
Yes.
Did you see that, Trev? That was Little League shit.
You spot the disadvantage or spot the advantage. I don't know what I'm talking about, but then you take it.
Nice. What book was that again?
I don't know what I just said.
You
How
spot
about
the
that?
disadvantage and you take it. That's Michael Scott.
Spam it. Boom, 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 boom. It's like when you're in Street Fighter and you have E Honda and you just keep doing that thing.
Yeah.
And you're like, bro, stop. Like, let's play the game for real. Then he won't stop and you lose. That's basically what happened last night. So, anyways, Birds. This is what I think about the Birds. Clearly, we know they're an incredible team. I just think that lineup is so difficult to navigate. You talked about Wheeler in that last game, them coming out and scoring early on him. But every time we look at, we go over our sheet, we're looking at the box scores, we're watching the highlights, we're watching the games. It's almost like a different person every night. But there's always a group of them. Like Anthony Santander had a great series, so we see it from him. Colton Cowser, we know he's really did it early on the season, but he's been consistent as can be. And then it's always like Gunnar Henderson leadoff homer. Like they just do it up and down the dang lineup. And then you got the pitching performances. It's like this team's legit. They want the season to end already. That's what I think. Like things are going so good in Baltimore. They just want to get to the playoffs and not have to worry about the last 2 months of the season because right where they're at right now is like it's exactly where they need to be. Really, yeah, the first game really fun. The thing I think about that rain delay, Hayes goes after the ball for Bohm in the 11th. I think it was over an hour rain delay, right?
71 minutes, if I had to guess.
You read that probably. I just didn't listen. I think Hayes gets that ball if it's in the regular meat of the game and he's in the swing of things. You get to go sit down for 71 minutes. You come back out. Like the route was just okay for me there. I mean, obviously Bohm put a great swing on it. You have to give credit to him, but I think he gets to that ball. The rain delays are so strange, man, especially when you already played 10 innings. Then all of a sudden sky opens up. You're like, shit.
Brutal.
You wait around for an hour. You come back. You're just not the same. But good teams answer after a tough loss like that. And that's exactly what the Orioles did, man. I mean, you look at the team batting statistics and you see, the Yankees doing it. You see the Dodgers doing it. Like, okay, that makes a lot of sense, But the Orioles right behind him with a bunch of homegrown players is like the coolest thing in baseball.
Yeah, I do think with the Bradish news, we already had the Orioles on potential early starter trade watch. I think that's still happening, although we know they can just throw our guy Big Albert Suarez in there and he'll give
whenever they want.
They'll give you a 5 shut. But yeah, that's some tough news for them. But the lineup for me, and I want to highlight a couple picks. Jacob Webb in their bullpen, 35 games, a 1.91. Like Jacob Webb not getting a ton of love on the national baseball TV shows. I mentioned last episode that Dirty Craig's been great. We just don't treat him that way, basically. And Corbin Burns now 15 starts, a 2.14.
Good trade.
Welcome to the AL East. Yeah, Joey Ortiz.
Why'd you call him Dirty Craig?
He's filthy.
Okay.
He's always been.
Like okay. He's not like dirty as in the like
a little column A, little column B.
Pitcher.
Guys with 120 OPS pluses on the Orioles. That means you're a 20% better hitter than everyone else in the league. Rushman, Mountcastle, Gunnar, Westberg, Kauser, Santander, Ryan O'Hearn. So, yeah, 7 guys that are, in a way, 20% better than your average big league hitter. They're here. Excited to see them play the Yankees, especially after the Yankees got a little slice of humble pie from the Red Sox, and we probably segue into that. But also, Phillies, they lose to the Red Sox and the Orioles. Tough little AL East stretch. But Trey Turner, a.k.a. Old Bobby Witt, comes back tonight. So I think the Phillies are okay.
I like that. Well, look, I mean, I think if you're talking about the Phillies, you talked about how they got off to that fast start, and it was because they played a bunch of sub 500 teams. They're obviously a very good baseball team, but I think people who were saying that, and we were like, hey, just relax. Like, they're playing their schedule. Then you face a couple good teams and you lose a series. I think that's a conversation. They got to continue to go do it. Obviously, losing Realmuto for a while stinks, and getting Trey back will help, all that good stuff. They're a great ball team. The Orioles, one last note on them. As consistent could be. 17-9 in April, 17-9 in May for a 654 winning percentage. They're actually up on that right now. 11-5 in June for a 688.
Sure.
Okay.
Summer's here. The boys are bopping. And the boys were bopping at Fenway Park this weekend. Sox kid. First time the Yanks and Sox have teed it up this weekend. And, yeah, I laid it out. Luis Gil, one of his lesser starts of the year, which is 5 innings, 1 earned still. So didn't have control of his stuff, really. Verdugo gets the redemption homer against his team, and that kind of sends the Yankees loopy because he's one of the Energizer bunnies of their team. But the rest of the way, it was a lot of Red Sox. They got to Rodon. They more or less get to Stroman. And I guess here's what I'll tell you from Yankee land. A couple of the Yankees team questions are some of the veterans in the infield who haven't been contributing. Rizzo.
Well, you got rid of one of them.
Rizzo, DJ, Glaber. Who do we get rid of?
Rizzo's hurt, right?
Yeah, Rizzo gets hurt in that last game, so I don't think we've gotten an update yet, but lower right arm.
Little collision at the plate.
Collision, first base.
First base.
But the Yankees bullpen got out to a great numerical start, but didn't feel right. And now the past month or so, the Yankees bullpen has been not so hot. So the bullpen is one thing, and then the running game, Trev, and you know how Jimmy, when he gets into the numbers, but this is one of the more golden things he's dug up. Caught stealings get accredited to catchers when it's basically pickoff plays, and the Yankees have been really good at this year. That their catchers caught stealing numbers look pretty good on paper. I think they're like 15 for 52 on the year. I don't know. We were deep in it. But I think out of those 52, and there's been 15 caught stealings, I think only 2 of them are true, like throughout a 1 runner at second base. Like, if you want to run on the Yankees catchers and starting pitchers, you can. And Alex Cora and the Red Sox on Sunday Night Baseball showed that in a brutal way. Looked like a bad JV baseball game.
Sometimes it's as easy as a math equation. You know, you look at Trevino, his average pop time is 208. It's the second percentile in the league. You got a guy, Marcus Stroman, who's probably, a 1.3 or 1.4 to the plate. And you say, okay, can I get there before that happens? And that's exactly what they're doing. So Trevino, I mean, seems to me like, obviously prioritizing framing metrics. I know a lot of guys get down on the knee and do all that, but that also contributes to the lack of pop time as well. I mean, the arm is not the strongest, but they have to do something to fix that. they're going to continue. Teams are going to continue to do that. I guess for me, it's a lot of the times it's on the pitchers. So like they have to do a better job. You're going to have to see more pickoffs. You're going to have to see more slide steps, or at least a hybrid. You can't just give a full leg kick the entire time. Some guys don't care about it too. That's the
Yeah.
problem though, because I think nowadays in baseball, a lot of guys are saying, "Well, I'd rather have my full leg kick because I think I could strike the guy. I don't care if that guy gets to second base," which to me is ridiculous because, hey, like keep him out of scoring position. Am I the old guy in the room now where I'm just like, hey, it's probably a good idea to keep him off second base?
No, you want to know where I felt like I had an epiphany. Great word. We've talked about contact and striking out, and part of the concern about the Yankees bullpen right now is that they don't have a lot of strikeout guys. They've got a lot of sinker ballers that, hey, that can be great, and you can have a quick inning or a quick double play ball, or if you have 3 balls find holes, you can be about to blow a game. That I was just laughing that there was a stretch in baseball where it was like the biggest thing we valued from pitchers was strikeouts. Because it was like, if you strike guys out, you completely control the scenario. And strikeouts are still king, but, we're hitting-wise, we pretended to not care. We said, a strikeout's just an out. On one side of the ball, a strikeout is more important. But we pretended on the other side that it was not. And that's so dumb. We are so dumb.
There's a lot of things that have gone sideways a little bit. You feel like a dinosaur if you talk about a 2-strike approach, but it's like when you get actually talking to baseball players and you're talking to hitters, like, dude, yeah, like you need to have a couple clubs in the bag. You got to be able to protect. But I don't even really know how we got here.
Yeah.
But you're right. Like a lot of things are going. I think because of like the emphasis on stolen bases, I think a lot of like, hey, let's put the ball in play and like let's see some good things happen. Plus, as I mentioned in my bunt rant that people were like all over, like I don't know how much of a priority defense is anymore. Like you're getting like especially infield defense. I feel like outfield defense became a priority because we're trying to slug and do all these things, but just simple plays like I around baseball, you kind of see it. So well, that's the pressure on the defense. It's always been a good thing.
Lorenzo Damalia from We Got Ice, who's a big Red Sox fan, listened to our Friday episode, and I'll go through some of this again. The Red Sox are 5th in OPS. The Red Sox are 7th in starting pitching ERA, 8th in bullpen ERA. That when you just look at the screenshot of the Red Sox, you'd think it's a very different conversation than the buy-sell they're talking about on Sunday Night Baseball. And a big chunk of that is defensively, which we've talked about Rafaela moving from shortstop to center fielder. I'll tell you what, like watching a little bit of what he was doing in center field, that looked like an athlete trying to figure it out, and he is. Shortstop, I don't know if you want that. Like that's a young ball player trying to learn on the fly. Currently on the Red Sox starting lineup, I don't know how many guys you can say play really strong defense. Tyler O'Neill? So I don't know.
Abreu in right field, I think, plays a good right field. I think he's doing well out there. Rafaela is playing, I think, metrically is well regarded in center field.
He's an athlete. I mean, the kid's a stud athlete, but I think if you even watch some of this sounds so douchey, but like some of his footwork, like it was an athlete playing center field.
Sure.
Which hey, that's all you need, kind of.
We needed to give the Red Sox some love here. We posed the question, like what was the problem? A lot of people came back to us on that episode and were saying, well, there was a bunch of injuries at the beginning of the season, especially within the infield. So you had guys playing out of position, kind of playing places they weren't comfortable with. And now we're seeing like a youth movement in Boston, which has got to be scary for the AL East. You got Hamilton at short, you got Rafaela in center, you got Abreu out there in right field. You got the starting pitching. Like I think this is something that we're going to look back and say, okay, they treaded water with these injuries the first couple months of the season. I think this Boston team has a chance to go here in the second half.
Yeah, the more they teed it up on Sunday Night Baseball, it was kind of, first year new GM. Who is it? It's a former Red Sox reliever. I don't want to say
Craig Breslow.
Breslow.
Yes. He's an Ivy guy.
A
Me and him.
Boston team that hasn't had success the past couple years. That coming up on the deadline, I don't know, man. You have something. I don't know if you're gonna make the playoffs. I don't know if you make the playoffs how big of a threat you are. But I don't think you could sell on this team. Like, I think you got to get the good juice going in Boston that if you punt on this team while they're the first team out of the wild card, that fan base, they'll turn on you. I'm not saying like they believe this is the team, but they want to believe in anything.
They've already given Heim time. That didn't work.
Yeah. Yes.
Heim ran out of time.
Big time.
So Breslow doesn't want to do that. I agree with you. I think they'll be careful buyers. What's interesting when you think about this market and all these teams that are like within striking distance, like what does that mean?
Yeah.
Usually when there's a bunch of buyers, that means the price goes up. So like, are these teams going to be willing to up the ante and say, all right, we'll give you this package because we want to be the team that gets the guy? I mean, it's going to be interesting, man. Like, Crochet and these guys from the White Sox, their asking price has got to be crazy, and they'll probably get it because there's so many teams in contention. It's going to be a funky summer, man.
Fangraphs has the Sox with a 22% chance to make the playoffs. Hey, that's, almost 1 out of 4, math guy, closer to 1 out of 5. And another team with similar odds, the Toronto Blue Jays, who they play 6 times in the next 10 games. So
the first time they're facing this year is this week.
Blue Jays and Red Sox, if one of them can kind of put their thumb down on the other, maybe that can control that a little bit. I think the other big one I want to talk about, because Toronto wins a nice series. Your Twins were dominant against a team that's not so dominant. But the Seattle Mariners storyline is like full tilt, full blown. These guys are here. These guys are fantastic at home. 27-12 at home. 8.5 game lead in the AL West. This is, and the number that I thought, this one's half cool. 34-11 when they score first. Great, Seattle. 17-5 against the AL West this year. So, not only are they holding serve, but they're holding serve in their division. They obviously have a team strength. I feel like the Mariners made us fall in love with them a couple weeks ago, and since then, all they've done is win more. They haven't won the division since 01, Trev. What were you doing in 01? Throwing the disc, hacky sacking?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sophomore in high school.
Soft porn in high school?
Yeah, exactly. At that time, I don't even know if there was anything like that. That was still like cable TV type
Internet
stuff,
was crazy. There was some
Internet,
stuff, but like you
at
shouldn't
that point,
be clicking
in 2000, 2001, it was just you had a home computer that was in the living room.
Yeah.
For all you young kids, think about that. You had
Yeah.
It wasn't even a laptop. It
It's a
stayed
huge computer.
in the living room.
Yeah. Ours was in the kitchen. Like it was.
We know what you're using your computer for.
Jake, why are you looking at pictures of Serena Williams?
She's a great tennis player.
Great tennis player. All time.
What are we talking about again?
Your Mariners.
I think a lot of people are happy for the Mariners on a national stage because they've gotten so close, and it feels like it's kind of like been ripped away from them at the end of the season or right at the beginning of the playoffs. Like they've had it and then they haven't had it. And now the division's a little softer. Like the Astros are, I don't know what is going on there. And the Rangers, obviously you just sweep them. The Rangers have been struggling to find their footing as well. And the Mariners are taking advantage of it. And it seems like Seattle's kind of like understanding the assignment a little bit. Like the place was rocking over the weekend. The boys are feeling it. We got Jolly Olive at 5 a.m. Pacific time sending us the whips of the Seattle Mariners starting pitchers. Like, Jolly, we know You don't think we've talked about the starting pitching of the Seattle Mariners? We're waiting for the offense to get going, and they've had some timely hitting, and they've been doing it. I'm very curious to see. I think they're like one of the most interesting teams. I would say that I think I'm most interested in to see what they do at the deadline.
Yes.
Who are they going to bring in? I know you've talked about Polar Bear Pete going over there. Like they need to add an impact bat, similar to when they brought over like Luis Castillo, like a trade of that magnitude. They need to go do that this year. The fan base has showed up. They got the pitchers. They have the team. They have like the feeling of like, hey, we got to go this year. So I'm very curious to see what they do. I gotta imagine it's going to be big.
Yeah, interested to
Juan
see.
Soto to the Mariners.
Okay. Julio's been great the last 22 games or so. His numbers, his OPS plus just got to league average. So I don't know. This guy, unfortunately, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's reps, I don't know if it's weather, but he's gotten off to a slow start every year. Seems like he's in gear. It feels like they've, WNBA, they've survived their own storm. Like, Julio's going to start slow. Are we going to get enough help elsewhere? And I feel like their offense has hit a pivot point. Seattle Storm, or do you not watch?
I'm just that was the whole thing. Okay.
Their offense hit a pivot point where it was like, hey, there's pressure on us to score because if we don't score, we don't win. I think that's flipped to like, hey, if we put 1 or 2 up, we still got a really good chance to win. That now I think the offense is just playing a little looser. That, yeah, I hope they make the move because, again, haven't won the division since 2001.
I got some numbers coming for you. You know,
Okay.
I like this.
Okay.
We talk about Julio progressively getting better as the season goes on. 642 in April, OPS 768, 778 in June. Then he goes 850, 990, 934 as you go on through the months. In June, 817 OPS. So he's going. He's like kind of on trend with what he usually does. And that alone right there, if you're getting Julio going, is like enough, I think. And I hope they don't think of it that way. A lot of these teams are like, if we just get our guys going, that's like making a midseason acquisition. No, it's not.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. Like, he's going to get going, and then you add to that as well. That's an acquisition. Go Julio,
wow.
go. I want to see him go off, man. He's fun.
You should be in a front office with that kind of analysis.
That me and you together.
You know what's in addition? Adding someone.
They don't think of it that way, dude. It's don't get me started on the way teams are thinking about the game of baseball right now. I can't.
Corey Seager hitless against the Mariners this year. Yo.
Is that real?
In the tech,
real statistic?
0 for 25. 25 plate appearances, excuse me. After 1.1ing against them last year. And the Rangers have the worst OPS since May 8th. A month and a half, the Texas Rangers that mauled their way to a World Series victory have been the worst offense in baseball.
Texas Rangers have a 676 team OPS. The Seattle Mariners a 667. But when you have Brian Wu with a .53, Logan Gilbert with a .92, Bryce Miller with a .98, George Kirby with a 1.01, and Luis Castillo, your worst whip pitcher, at a 1.14, you can do that. There you go, Jolly.
Hope you're happy, Jolly.
Gosh, don't ever text me at 5 in the morning again.
He doesn't like that. Trev, again, like I said, I've got some Twins love coming later, so I'm kind of good on it, but you'll probably end up gushing. I just think Toronto, they were facing the good Central teams this week. They win a series against the Guardians, which a lot of teams haven't done this. There's a Gossman quote after his game that if we don't pitch well, we don't win, which that's a shot fired to half the team.
Well, then they woke up 5 runs in
the
the second game, 7 runs in the third game. I mean, it's not like they don't know. They're like, oh, thanks, Kev.
Yeah.
Didn't know the offense was struggling, bro. Thanks for pointing that one out to us.
Do you any of those old Twins teams have any shots fired? Brian Dunsing come off the mound and say, "Yeah, we're not scoring runs."
I'm sure. There was. I'm telling you, man. A lot of behind the scenes stuff goes on. Like we saw like the Mackenzie Gore and Nick Senzel thing in the dugout. Like that happens way more often than is seen.
Yeah. High T.
One day we'll talk. There's one in particular that I will love. I need to get both the guys' permission.
Okay.
Put it this way. There was one point where I was like, all right, let's let this happen. Like this needs to happen. It wasn't like, hey, break it up. I was like, all right.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Let's fuck around and find out a little bit. Okay. Okay, I'm excited for that. And
I did watch the end of Ronel Blanco. He was like, I mean, he threw seven no-hit innings.
Literally. Again.
Well, he was walking everybody. Alex Bregman had like this rough play they called an error. They were trying to let him go, and then all of a sudden they just took him out of the game because he was at like 93 pitches after 7. So I was curious to see if they were going to let him go, and they didn't.
Trev, I want to give you some snaps because now lamestream media is starting to talk about it. Stephen Kwan with a couple good days at the office. 398. 398.
What did I do? I just mentioned that he was a good hitter.
You mentioned him last time. You were like, Stephen Kwan's hitting like 374. Is he chasing 4? So you get the credit in my book.
Yes.
And you know why, Trev? Because you're him. And hymns. Important. Hey, this is their first sentence, and it might be mine. Your sex life is important. Okay? It is. Clear the mechanism. But your schedule is busy. You don't have time to go to a doctor's office to get treated for your ED. So Hims can do it for you without stepping outside your door. They provide access to doctor-trusted ED treatment options such as chewable hard mints, brand name treatments like Viagra, or generic alternatives for up to 95% cheaper. It's 100% online. Fellas, if we're dealing with this, let's deal with this.
The stigma's gone.
With Hims. Start your free online visit today at hims.com/talkin. hims.com/talkin for your personalized ED treatment options. Hard mints are chewable compound products which are not approved by or verified by safety effectiveness of the FDA. Prescription required an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate restrictions apply. See website for details, important safety options. Subscription required. Prices varies based on product and subscription plan. Click the link. Can we talk some NL?
Your sex life is important.
It really is. And it's getting sexy in Queens. The Mets, what's dead may never die. I mean, they are from the Iron Islands at this point. Because they sweep the Padres. Hey, I'm going to Ron Burgundy it a little. Go fuck yourself, San Diego. What are we doing? I just gave a speech how the Padres, it's finally happening. Here we go. They're separating themselves. No. They get swept by the Mets. They drop under 500. And Jumbo Dong, JD Martinez. Welcome back, big fella. What do you have, 3 homers in the first 2 games? Or no, he had the 2-homer game in that second one. He's walking it off for the first time in his life. The Mets are 5-0 since the Grimace City Connect jersey. That's Mets baseball in a nutshell. Padres, I don't know. I think you guys are just as frustrated as I am. So, the Braves, they take 2 out of 3 from the Rays. Sale and Charlie Morton, the old men, get it done on the bump. And some signs of life from the offense. Jared Kelenic from the leadoff spot with a homer. Austin Riley and Matt Olson. This is what we are asking for in Atlanta. They get that in the first 2. But Jose Siri does not give a fuck in that final game as he homers. Brandon Lau with the big yacker, as well as the Rays salvage the series in the Charlie Morton Bowl. The Brewers take 2 out of 3 from the Reds, and that's obvious. The Reds, they win the first game. TJ Friedl, Jamer Candelario, and Elly De La Cruz. What a highlight reel. Trev's guy Snoop a loop in the booth. But this is what happens. The Brewers win the games. They win that second game after going opener to Bryce Wilson. Joey Ortiz getting talked about as generational, Trev. Colin Rea, Willie Adames with the big home run, that the Brewers win the one-run game and to win the series, and that's the NL Central. The Dodgers take 2 out of 3 from the Royals. The Royals continue to be in their rough stretch, although Lugo dropped it and Melendez with a big home run. But speaking of dropping 2, Yamamoto and Mookie Betts. Dodgers are really getting hit with the injury bug. Shohei Ohtani says, no worries, I'll homer twice on the final game to get it done. Fun young pitchers in that first one. Cole Ragans and Gavin Stone. Dodgers, they take 2 out of 3. Angels take 2 out of 3 from the Giants. Giants, baby, what is we doing? At home?
What is we doing?
Well, I'll tell you what, Tyler Anderson just keeps doing it. He's going to be on a different team soon. 5.1, 1 earned run. Mickey Mouse Moniak with a couple big games. And Logan O'Hoppe. East Coast kid doing it big on the West Coast. Giants, they roll him on the final game. Everyone contributed. Is it Elliot Ramos? Eliot Ramos? I can't say it right, but every game he has a good one. So, Cubs lose another series. My God. To the wild card St. Louis Cardinals. They are 500. Cardinals fans in the comments happy we talked about Michaelis out-dueling Skeens. Kyle Gibson, you might hear more about him later, people. 7 shut piece. Shota Imanaga was electric in the game the Cubbies won, and I feel like that's what they've been saying a lot. But they lose again in their numbers. There's some Cubs stats. 10-21 in their last 31. Yikes. Diamondbacks, they take 2 out of 3 from the White Sox. Again, the easy part of their schedule, and they've done well, but is it enough? Jordan Montgomery pitches 5 clean innings for them. His first start without any earned runs. Will that matter? Jock goes off in a couple of these games. Christian Walker, his contract goes up by the day. Marlins and Nats played. The Nats swept them. Trev watched every inning of this game. He'll tell you about Mackenzie Gore, the fight in the dugout. Young Jacob Young goes yard. Good for the speedster. And then the Pirates and Rockies game, which me and BBD were at. Pirates take 2 out of 3. They take the bread games. And that's what happened in the National League.
No one can do it like you do it.
No one loves you like I love you. Do you have the standings?
Shaggy? I do. I do. I have the standings up, and I know you want to hear them. And because it's Monday, I will start in the East. Philadelphia, 47-24, the 8-game lead over the Atlanta Braves, who are 38-31. The Nationals, 1 game under 500. We're such a Nationals pod.
Yes.
35-36. The Mets, 33-37, and the Marlins, 23-48. I will move on to the West, where the Dodgers sit atop the division at 44-29, the only team that's over 500. The Padres, as you mentioned, dipped under that 500 mark. They're 37-38. Your Snakes, 35-37, tied with the Giants, who are also 35-37. And then the Rockies, 25-46. Gotcha. The Central, Milwaukee continues to do their thing, 42-29. They have a 6.5 game lead over the Cardinals, who are 35-35. Gibby is ballin', obviously. Cincinnati, 34-37. Wake up. Pirates, 34-37. You kind of playing to what I think you are, so just keep doing what you're doing. And the Cubs, what is we doing, baby, at the bottom of the division, 34-38. But everybody's right in the mix. Mets, 1.5 games out of the last wild card. Cubbies, 1.5 games out. Pirates, Reds, Giants, Arizona, all within 1. And you know who has the last wild card spot right now? Those Nats. Those fighting Nats in the dugout, choking each other. Maybe that was just for fun. We don't know. Those are the standings.
Those are the standings. The Padres and the Nats technically half tied for the last wild card spot, with the Padres on a 3-game loser. On the YouTube, we got the Nats just, rubbing elbows in the dugout.
I'm so curious, like, what was that about? I saw the play. There's more to this story. That's what I got out of it. Senzel, even the announcer though, was on Senzel about the play. It's a chopper down the third baseline, like a long throw. Guy's safe. There's no bobble. There's no air. But the announcer said, "Why did you like lollipop the throw over?" I guess maybe did he? Like I'm not really familiar with Nick Senzel's max arm strength,
Right.
but it looked like he made a pretty routine play. The guy was safe, and then all of a sudden, we get a little fisticuffs down there in the dugout.
The boys are hot. When DJ Hertz is going 6 innings, 13 punchies, hey, Nats fans. Yeah, what I was told, Senzel didn't charge it hard enough. If you guys have some juice for us.
Fucking pitcher did that to me. Because I didn't charge it hard enough. I'm playing a hop.
Yeah.
A top spin chopper. I'm playing it back. Sorry, the guy was safe. What do you want me to do, bro? It's a baseball play. A pitcher? You play once every 5 games? You're going to do that to me? I would lose my mind, man. But again, maybe there's more to the story that I just don't know about.
More to the Nats story. 7 innings, 1 earned for Mackenzie Gore. DJ Hertz, I just mentioned, 6 innings, 0 earned runs. And Mitchell Parker, 6 innings, 1 earned run. It's the Marlins. But again, the Nats, this is a full-blown Nats pod now. If the NL's going to be muddy it up, Nats. Muddy it up. Trev, I do think the biggest pieces of news for this season, Yamamoto and Mookie. Mookie takes one off the hand, fractured hand, not expected to be season-ending, but Mookie's going to be gone for quite a bit. And Yamamoto, at first we're told triceps, and then we hear strained rotator cuff. Which let's see what that means for this season. And it's going to be unfairly, it's going to be a big part of the Yamamoto storyline of how he plays out this contract. Because that's a 1 of 1 at this point, that people are going to track his injuries very closely, which is probably crazy unfair to him because he was from another country and really good, he got a bag. But these are 2 big blows in Dodgerland, yet, Trev, we talked about this a little bit before the show. You opened up the Dodgers' current starting pitching rotation, and I think you expected to see it be a lot thinner than it was.
Well, it's just because Bobby Miller's coming off the IL at the perfect time. So they still have 5 like legitimate starters there. I mean, obviously it hurts to lose Yamamoto, but you're still going to run out Miller, Glasnow, Paxton, Buehler, and Stone. You're still going to run those guys out. That's a very, very good starting 5. So I don't think that is where the problem lies here for the Dodgers. It's the Mookie. It's the Mookie at top of the lineup, doing what he's done. Shortstop metrics are mixed on like his defense, but be able to be at the top of the lineup playing shortstop, doing what he's doing offensively is obviously going to be missed. And we talk about the Dodgers lineup being top heavy, and now they lost one of the guys.
Yeah.
So they're a team that'll be aggressive at the trade deadline. They already wanted to bring in a shortstop to get Mookie off of there. I think they did that out of necessity, putting him there. We saw that kind of what Gavin was doing during spring training. Do you remember that? Like it was just really messy. He was making a lot of errors. It looked bad. So like, all right, we'll put Mookie there. And that happened like this. But I think they've realized he's probably better suited at second base. And if you can get a shortstop there, that's what they need. I don't know who that means. Like if Willy Adames isn't going, who's the shortstop out there that they can go get? I on top of my head, I don't know.
Paul DeYoung? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that market currently looks like. Do the Giants have someone?
So he's got a fractured hand, which means 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks.
Something like that, yeah.
So it's June 17th. So we're looking end of August, something like that. Okay. Yeah. I think they're fine with that. Like, as much as it sucks to lose Mookie Betts, if he can return end of August and you have him for full September before the playoffs, I think you can be okay. Like they've put enough distance between themselves in the division. Like they're going to make the playoffs. Get Mookie healthy. Take your time. That's kind of my take on it.
Phillies trade Edmundo Sosa to your conference rivals. No. Yeah, I don't know. As just a quick peruse of shorts. I mean, Bo Bichette was a hot name for a little bit, and Toronto's still fighting.
Yeah, he's interesting. He would look great there.
This is totally off the board, and some people will probably just do a Jake. I don't know if Detroit ever hit a point where they just eat Javi's contract, like little Dodger juice. Could that lock Javi in? I don't know.
Dodgers fans like, ugh.
Yeah, I mean nobody's excited about that. Probably Tiger fans. So yeah, that was the toughest news out of the National League. And then Trev, I'm gonna laugh a little bit because their next 3 series: Rockies, Halos, White Sox. So without them, we could look down and see Dodgers W10 in a couple days.
100%. Are we going to do the Pat Hoberg stuff here, or are we not going to do the Pat Hoberg stuff?
So, I mean, I'll ask you quick, but, like, I feel like we don't have any info yet. Like,
Agreed.
There isn't, like, an update on, like, what happened.
He's appealing, and we don't even know what he's being accused of yet, right?
So I think we need to peel the onion back a little bit. A couple weeks ago, we got wind of a story coming out. Didn't have specifics, but little birdies were chirping that there was going to be a major umpire. That was what was said, a major umpire. I was like, what does that even mean? A scandal was going to come out within 48 hours. Well, 48 hours came and went, nothing happened. Birdies were still chirping a little bit. And then all of a sudden we get hit. Pat Hoberg, gambling's, gets suspended. He is like the biggest umpire. Like he's the best umpire in the game statistically. Yeah. And now he's going through this. I think initial reports were like nothing on his own games, but he did bet on some baseball. I don't know what that means. Dude.
Right.
What does that mean for Pat? Does he get the same deal that the players that we just caught gambling on the game? Does he get that type of punishment?
I mean, Trev, you go pretty tough guy mode when you're like, you have to be so dumb as a player to do this. Like you get every spring training, you get the same speech, and it gets hammered into your head. Umpires, bro. You're the guys. You can't gamble on the game.
So they knew about this in spring training. They were doing an investigation that was launched into spring training, and finally they had enough evidence, apparently. And this is his quote. I'm appealing Major League Baseball's determination that I should be disciplined for violating the sports betting policies. While the appeal is pending, it would not be appropriate to discuss the case. And he just talks about, I love baseball so much, all this crap. So we really have nothing. It is a big story. I think it's getting pushed to the side because of the lack of information. Like once we get, a little bit more of the details, I think we'll be talking about this much more, but
yeah, goodness. I don't know. I guess just initial sniff test. So Pat Hoberg's been calling games this year. They've known about this in spring training.
Hasn't he not been calling
or
games?
He hasn't been?
I think that was like the thing. Like I feel like he's like been being punished for this. I thought in the past article it said he hadn't umpired a game this year yet.
Okay. I'm looking at the article right now.
It feels pretty plain and simple. Like what could be up in the air here? Like I guess what would come out that would make your opinion be like, okay, like this guy can, like if he has, if his 2 bets were 2 10-team parlays, would you be like, okay, like Pat had a couple.
I don't know, man.
I don't.
The thing about an umpire like him is he's done a great job at calling balls and strikes where like that's where you have the majority of your influence on the game, right? So they're graded out all the time.
He's been the best.
He's been the best. So like clearly not throwing games unless we go back to a few missed calls that are like blatant at a crazy time in a game. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like I honestly don't know what to think. I guess if you're asking me if he bet on games that he wasn't a part of, it seems like less of an indictment on him, but also he could be in
Right.
cahoots with whoever was calling the games.
Right. Umpire Freddie Ortiz has a bad back, so it's going to be a wide zone today. I don't know.
Hit the under button?
Under?
Is that what we're doing?
Over on strikeouts? I don't know. I guess that's where I kind of wasn't ready to talk about
first
it.
pitch strike. Right? They have that. That's like stuff like that could happen. That's the crazy part of all this.
They've got it all. And those conspicuous calls or non-conspicuous calls?
You don't even try to use that word.
Like a first pitch that's off the plate a little bit and and you're just
That's what I'm saying. There are bets,
who knows?
first pitch strike bets. Boom. No one notices. Oh, Pat with a bad call first. Call the game.
God, imagine if there was sicko layers to this. Like all the umpires are betting on each other's games. And like the first pitch of the third inning, it's got to be a strike.
You have to call it a strike. Ball bounces.
Where was that? I don't know. I
guess the easier one's ball, right? Because you can't call a pitch that bounces.
Gotta be down the dick.
If a pitch is, we've seen how many times we've seen a pitch down the middle. They call it a ball, and like, oh, you missed that one. It's like
hitter could swing though. I don't know. It's a lot harder to fix games.
Middle.
It's a lot harder to fix games.
True.
I don't know. I need more info.
We'd be bad at this.
We would definitely in the first week we would lose money.
we need a week of learning.
Let me know what his winning percentage was. Need to know.
He
seems like a guy that would
thing.
figure something out and have a very advantageous play to it.
If this comes out and it's just a couple random games, I guess I don't care, but
you have to care, man. You can't
you have to care. You're an umpire. That's like the one thing you can't do.
You had job security for life, dude.
It's the one thing you can't do.
He's like a pretty young umpire too.
Hoberg out. Angel Hernandez back.
That's the messed up part of all this. Everyone was just assuming, oh, that's why Angel retired.
Yeah. It's tough.
Oh, man.
That's tough.
I mean, it would have been kind of beautiful, but
I'm glad we talked about that. Trev, Mets Padres has some storyline. The NL
it's a mess. The NL is a mess.
The NL has cool weeks where it's like this happened. This was a sad weekend. Besides the Cardinals, I guess, which we're going to talk about a little bit in a minute. I don't know. The Mets are back in the picture because they won 3 games.
Why are you sad about the Mets being back in the picture?
I just think it should be one of the easiest sells in recent history. They want to sell. But I don't know. I don't know how this sorts out at all. They're losing me a little bit on the leash. Last episode, Padres, we're playing winning ball. You traded for a rise early. The pitching rotation is there. The lineup's deeper than ever. San Diego's San Diego until they're not. And I got tricked by them. And I shouldn't be tricked by any of these mediocre teams.
Mets have won 9 of their past 11, 11 of their past 15. They're hot.
Go win the whole thing, Mets.
4 games under 500, but you can't sell. I think if you talk to a contingency of Mets fans, they probably hey, let's do that plan. But then how could you tell people that when you're a game and a half back of a wild card spot?
I don't know.
It's going to be interesting. I'm happy for them, man.
I am too. And I guess Padre fans, you guys are a loud, friendly bunch. You guys have to be more frustrated than me. Or maybe it's just SoCal, bro. There's
7 straight road games.
losses.
571 OPS, 2.2 runs per game during that span. I mean, the offense on the road just hasn't been there. And why? There's no rhyme or reason for it, dude. There's no rhyme or reason for it. It just happens sometimes.
7th straight road loss for the Padres. So, golly. Trev, I'll be honest. Maybe I'm making some fan bases mad, but nothing really jumps off the sheet to me. I know we've got some standouts and different things from this, but if you see something you need to yuck some ball.
I think the Cardinals are a team we got to talk about a little bit about. Go into Chicago and do their thing. I'm going to talk about some of the starting pitching, which has kind of been what's going on here. They hold the Cubs to how many runs in this series? 6 runs in 3 games. I guess they only scored 6 runs, but you win 2 out of 3. Pedro Pages and you never been seen in the same room. I mentioned that to you before the episode started. You guys look identical. A couple of nice homers for him there in Chicago. I mean, I'm kind of good on the rest of it. Go Nats, go. San Fran, what is you doing, baby, for sure. But again, when you have how many teams are in the NL? 15 teams in the NL, and 13 of them are in a playoff spot or within 1.5 games of it. What are we doing?
Here's a sentence that shows how ready to get hurt I am. Cardinals fans, I'll put a couple chips on the table for you. Because at least this offseason they went out and they tried to address their needs.
Yes.
Which like, that's my minimum ask at this point. And, like, Mason Wynn, I gushed about him. So, yeah, I guess I can support it. But I don't know. I feel like I'll be here on Friday being like, well, Cardinals flunked the dunk. Hopefully I'm wrong. But, yeah, right now 35-35 has you firmly in the NL wildcard.
Firmly.
It's ridiculous. Brewers, sorry, a little penalty for being too good. We'll talk about you more in a little bit. And then, yeah, I guess Braves saw some signs from guys. Although they sneaky have the injury bug big, man. And they're messing around with their lineup a little bit. That very interested to see the next steps for them. And I caught a little MLB Network this morning, and they're like, expect the Braves to do something soon. Because right now it lists Ramon Laureano as their starting right fielder.
Yeah, we talked about that. Alex Anthopoulos had a little scrum, a media scrum, and he said they're making phone calls, nothing's imminent, but he's going to improve the roster. That's what he does. I mean, he understands the urgency, with this window, with this fan base. They are used to, being in a better position. So he'll address it. But again, like, there's going to be so many buyers at the deadline. I think guys are going to have to get creative. I think teams are going to have to get creative, go after guys that they normally wouldn't, or give up guys they normally wouldn't, because at least that's what I'm hoping for, is that we have a plethora of buyers. Could end up being everyone just stands pat and says, hey, we're here as we are. Let's just run it. I hope that doesn't happen.
Man, a bad deadline would get baseball people hot about the wild card format. Speaking of hot, can I tell you people about Tommy John?
Yes.
Because I'm wearing them right now. Because I wear them every day. Hey, here's another real story. Jakey Tommy Johns. I'm wearing a pair of shorts today that have built-in liners on them. Like, if I wanted to, I could just wear the shorts. I looked at them and I said, I still want to have my TJs on. So I got the TJs on under them because I just like them. I like them holding my biscuits. Trev, question.
I don't think you should not wear underwear with shorts that have liner.
I see
people do that?
I see both sides of the argument.
Put your Tommy Johns on.
Right. Throw your TJs on, take the discussion out of it. Because I don't know, you have a situation that could be really troublesome for the shorts. Tommy John is the best in the game. That's it. After this read, I'm going to stand up and show you my boxers. Get 20% off your first order with TommyJohn.com/talkin right now. 20% off breathable, lightweight, second skin underwear at TommyJohn.com/talkin. 20% off. Click the link. I'll show the people and I'll say,
let's see it. Let's see it.
Standout performances.
Standout performances.
Go TJ. That's my TJ.
Go up a little higher there.
Yeah, I bet. Is that JG? Who's your standout?
I stand out. I got a couple of them, Pop. I wanted to
really?
highlight a few of these NL Central starters. We just gushed about the NL Central, how good everyone's playing in that division, no doubt. Our guy Kyle Gibson, who I'm always going to mention, 7 innings pitched. These guys had very scary, similar lines, so that's why I wanted to bring it. Friday night in that series, 7 innings pitched, 2 hits, 0 earned run, 1 walk, 6 Ks. Gibby's doing exactly like. I don't even want to say exactly Gibby things. He's been better than advertised. Yeah. He's been better. And he's going to pitch till he's 50 years old because he doesn't drink and he has like the best like disposition on life. He's got like no stress. He's just like got a great family. He's going to pitch forever, people. So go love you on some Gibby for me. And then Shota. Couple hiccup starts there. Last couple weeks. But he's been back. 7 innings pitched on Saturday, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 6 Ks, got the big strikeout. We already showed you the celebration. I love watching him pitch. It's the bottom line, man. So shout out to those two guys, my NL Central studs on the mound.
Trev, I was at first going to try to play a jealousy card, but I know you just love Gibby too much, but team option next year for $12 million. I mean, I don't want to report early on it, but
yes,
it's starting to feel like Kyle Gibson's going to have one of those baseball references where it's like, wait, he pitched 4 years for the Cardinals and had a 3.8. Yeah, man, he has been exactly what they needed. Innings and pretty good innings at that. And yeah, again, that's a great baseball town. Mason Wynn, top of the lineup, the new shortstop. They've had a lot not go right, so the fact that they're sitting pretty, maybe they get that. It's kind of, I don't think I'm depicting what I'm trying to say well. The Mariners were a couple games above 500. Their offense hadn't clicked, and I was like, they take a couple steps in the wrong direction, and that's going to suck. They've gone the opposite way. It's rolling. If the Cardinals can have a couple steps in the right direction and kind of come back to what they were supposed to be, and they get Miami and the Giants coming up, I don't know. None of their numbers are flashy right now.
Excuse me, Jesus. They had like really the Cardinals had like one bad stretch of baseball where they lost series to Detroit, to the White Sox, and then the Mets and Milwaukee. They had an L, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like L8. And that's when everyone just wrote him off and said, this is over. There was stuff going on again with Marmol. He was going crazy.
Right.
And then Gibby told me, relax, man, we're going to be okay. And since then, they've been doing it, man. They're kind of a consistent team. 13-3 in April, 13-12 in May. They're 8-7 in June. Slightly above average. They're sitting right now at 35-35.
Dude, I know we opened the show with it, but also that Shota fist pump. That's kind of what it's about. Cubbies. Jeez. Trev, I don't want to say it's a little okey doke, but you know, I gave your Twins a little tough love. But it's time to talk about C4, man. Carlos Correa is going nuts. Including a 2-homer day, which, okay, Carlos, I didn't think we were going to see too many more of those. Trev, Carlos Correa's now stats on the years, 2.5 WAR, sure. 308 batting average, 370 on base, and 878 OPS. And this hot streak kind of lines up with me shaking his hand at Yankee Stadium, which is just a little.
I was going to tell you that. I didn't want to get you upset, but yes, it did.
That's a little weird. Okay. And yeah, how about 24 for his last 47? That's a 511 batting average over the last 11 games. That I think it's just funny how quickly baseball moves. The last time that Carlos Correa had an 850 OPS, he finished 5th in MVP. Like, this guy was a top 10 player or so when he was hitting like that because he was so good defensively that it's kind of like I've been tough on your Twinkies. And part of that was they were missing Royce Lewis, who, my God, that you're right on that guy. But Carlos Correa, we didn't think had this in him again. And if he does, that does change the Twins' outlook.
Yes, it does. I don't know if he's gonna.
He's not going to
continue
stay
the way
at,
he's doing.
He's not going to stay at 5'11".
Well, I'm not saying the batting average. I mean, Aaron Gleeman had this great statistic on June 5th, which was the day before you shook his hand. He was hitting 247, and 11 days later, he's hitting 308, and he's third in the AL in batting average. Like, that's the hot streak he just went on. So there is a mechanical side to this. I did mention on the broadcast those first couple Yankee games, hip was flying, man. It was flying open. He was getting exposed on the outer half of the plate, and I asked David Popkins, the hitting coach, about it, and he goes, "Yeah, we're working, man. Like, we're trying to get him tight. Like, his hands are getting out, the hips going. We're trying to get him tight." So he, prior to that June 6th game, he was in there working, keeping everything tight, man. And I think that game he got like a blue pit, or he drove the ball against Marcus Stroman for a homer, and he went to right field. First inning, I believe it was, hits the homer, and then that was like the swing that clicked him. Oh, okay, you feel it, and ever since then, you mentioned it, 5'11", 1.3 in the last 11 games, 52 plate appearances. It's been nuts, man, and they needed that big time because Twins offensively, they haven't had really anybody go. Spurts of Max Kepler, like he's had like crazy, peaks and valleys this year. Royce Lewis is a guy. He's a stud. Jeffers is he carried them early on in the season, but he's stepped down a little bit. But Correa is, even when he wasn't hitting, is so valuable to the Twins. I've become a massive Carlos Correa fan. So yeah, I'm glad you gave him this. It's nice of you.
Just really weird. One handshake. And now look. It really
was. It really was. And he dapped you up hard too.
Yeah, I think he was he trying to show me how, real recognize real. Does he probably have bigger hands than me? Yeah. I think there is an argument for that. No, that was you, me, Joe's McFly, and Correa. The boys were just bopping for a couple minutes.
Just talking ball. That's all.
He brought up blitzball, so maybe he was watching me in the lab. Maybe that's what.
Oh,
just short to the ball. Trev, there could have been, Jake Cave put up a 3-hit day. I mentioned Colt
Verdugo,
Lennon Sosa on your White Sox.
Did we even talk about Alex Verdugo getting booed to the high heavens in Boston and then hitting the first pitch he sees out for a homer? That's gangster.
That feels pretty good.
I shouldn't have said that word because I shouldn't.
Is gangster
like
out
anymore? I'm 38.
Yeah.
That was awesome. I don't care who you root for. Like, that's a cool baseball moment. Just accept it.
No, it's a cool baseball moment. Best part of our show.
Dirt nasties on Fuego. That means I'm on fire, baby. Like Waco.
I haven't been partaking, Pop. I had a little gum last night.
Okay.
Just a small one.
I tried to sleep without it the other night and had the worst sleep of my life.
You're back.
Back.
All right. For the series, you talked about this guy earlier in the show. New York Mets DH JD Martinez. He went 6 for 9, nice in the series. 2 doubles, 2 homers, 6 runs driven in, and 5 walks. Martinez became the 6th player in Major League Baseball this season to have the go-ahead RBI in 3 straight games. How you feel? And Padres probably shouldn't have pitched to him. Atlanta third baseman Austin Riley, welcome sign for the Braves and Braves fans. 6 for 10 in the series, a double, 3 homers, 8 runs driven in, 5 runs scored. You got to love to see that. Lane Thomas, of course. It's always Lane Thomas and Matt Vierling. Washington outfielder Went 5 for 13. You're saying, that's okay. It's 385 average, but a double and 3 homers in that series. He homered in his 6th consecutive game against Miami. He's tied with Braves outfielder Ronald Acuna Jr. for the longest home run streak against the Marlins. So when the Marlins come into town, Lane Thomas is like, I got you. Hop on my back. That's a good feeling, man.
Yeah.
For the week, Jackson Merrill, of course.
Yeah.
Hit some bombs, doing your thing. 8 for 21, a double, 4 homers, 6 runs driven in for the 1.4 OPS, providing value defensively. And I think the offense is stabilizing. I'll say that. Jock Peterson, hired gun. Let's go. You want him on your team, probably going back to the Braves, and they'll win a World Series because of it. 6 for 18, a double, 2 homers, 10 runs driven in, 7 runs scored. He recorded his 4th stolen base. That's the most he's had in a season since 2016. It's a long time ago, people. Riley Green, 9 for 27 in the series. That's a 333 average. 3 homers, a triple, but he had 11 runs driven in the series. My gosh. And then this is the list you want to be on. And we're going to start off with a guy who's probably going to play on a different team later in the season. Chicago White Sox first baseman Andrew Vaughn. He's been banging for the last 2 weeks. 20 for 55, 2 doubles, 5 home runs, 12 runs driven in, 12 runs scored, 2 walks for the 1 daughter over the last 2 weeks. Hunter Brown. Now, when I went, we talked about this. The Twins came from Houston and we're in New York, and I asked Jeffers about the series, and he said Hunter Brown is absolutely filthy. And at that point, statistics were not good. Really struggled to start the year. Over the last 3 games started, 19 innings pitched, only 12 hits, 3 earned runs, 23 Ks. That's a 1.42 ERA, 0.9 WHIP. He's thrown a career best 5 consecutive quality starts, including 13 consecutive scoreless innings in his last 2 starts. That's nice for Astros fans. Too little, too late, probably. Are we giving up on the Astros? Or are they making savvy baseball moves to get back in this thing?
I mean, you have to respect their ownership being able to cut Abreu just 30 mil. Let's set this on fire. That's pretty wild. So, again, with the expanded wild card, there is a little bit of time, but not much. They have to get hot, and they have not shown they can do anything close to that.
And then they have to decide whether or not to trade Alex Bregman. That's wild. George Kirby, name the Mariners starter. Pick one out of a hat.
Yeah.
Last 3 games started, 18 innings pitched, 14 hits, 3 earned runs for the 1.5, the 0.94 WHIP. He's 5-0 with a 108 against the Rangers in his career. You got to love that, Pop.
Yeah.
And that's who's in Fuego.
Well done. Perfectly done. Per usual. It does segue us into the worst part of the show because it's the IL update. And a couple guys going on the IL. How about former All-Star Game MVP Elias Diaz? Hate to see that. Kyle being Bradish, we discussed that. Hank Davis for Pittsburgh. Michael Harris Deuce for the Braves. That's him and Ronnie on the IL. That's a team that's traded for outfielders before. Go bring Eddie Rosario back.
We got a bunch in Minnesota. You want some outfielders? We got it.
Yeah, you got the outfield connect, bro.
They're all at AAA right now. Get you Matt Wallner over there to Atlanta and see what he does. Never seen him and Matt Olson in the same room.
Minnesota Moose. Matt Olson, I think he announced on Instagram that him and his wife are pregnant. And I almost left a comment, and then I was like, you know what?
Just don't be creepy.
Just leave it, Jake.
Speaking of that, Cole Tucker, I talked to him. I think it's happening this week.
It's game time, man. Excited for him. Jordan Wicks for the Cubbies. They like him. Kyle Harrison for San Francisco. They like him. And we talked about the 2 big ones, Yamamoto and Betts. Nolan Jones coming off the IL for the Rocks. I want to see more of that guy. He was the truth last year. Kelsey Wingert swears he's a guy.
He's the real deal.
So I'm in.
She made me go up and meet him last year.
Love that.
She's like,
Love
introduced us. He's like, who the fuck is this?
Get this beat reporter away from me. Tommy Pham is back, so fight season on. And then Philly, I mentioned Trey Turner. How about Brandon Marsh? Casual 800 OPS player for them with some good defense. And he just looks Philly hot. So that's the IL update, which now allows us to begin the week.
Awards!
I'm going to see Kels this week, Trev.
It's actually how you set a volleyball. I learned that.
Yeah, you make the kind of triangle. Is that
I didn't know that
Clausen?
until yesterday. Yeah.
Trev, can I tell you about Arena Club real quick?
Please.
Because you were in the card game. I don't know if you still are. You're still
I'm
a
in the
little
card
bit.
game.
You're still in the card game. It's not easy just ripping packs or repacks. But man, with the slab packs from arenaclub.com, the only repack that provides real value, a complete view of all possible cards, and clear hit rates. They sent us one, Beebs?
Oh, yeah, they sent me a slab pack. We got ourselves a Luis Arise.
Is that a we or a you?
Look, whose name was it addressed to? It was me.
Okay.
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 I think it's a felony to open somebody else's mail, so yeah.
Lisa Rise card, huh? Yeah, if you're in the game, you guys probably already know Arena Club. If you're not, it's where you want to check it out. And right now, you can get 10% off your first purchase by going to arenaclub.com/talkin. 10% off a $400 slab pack. That's $40 right there. And they got some cards in there. I think the last slab packs, there was like a card worth $10K or something like that. Real money, people. Get 10% off your first purchase, arenaclub.com/talkin. Click the link in the description. Trev, where are you going?
I'm going with Dang, That's Refreshing
Okay.
award.
Dang.
And I actually had one of these the other day. When I order a drink, like a regular beverage, not an alcoholic beverage, it's usually water. Like it's kind of just what I drink. I like a Diet Coke now and then, but I try to stay away from that. I think the brown food coloring, where the heck they use to color, it's like not good for you. It's a guilty pleasure of mine. I try to stay away from that. But other than that, like if I'm at a restaurant, like I don't order like a soda or whatever. I just order water. Like, I don't know if a lot of people are like that, but I'm definitely one of those people. The other day though, so hot out here. I said, I need something different. The tongue needs a little taste on it, if you know what I mean. You've been there, Jake.
Yeah.
So what I did was I ordered iced tea. And I was like, I need a little bit more than that. So I said, hey, give me a 75-25 iced tea to lemonade ratio. So I went with the Arnie Palmer. And it was so refreshing that I'd almost like forgot how good it was. And it's a little scary because now I want more of it. And I'm trying to keep this tight. That's why I drink the water. But it was a kind of like knocked me back a little bit. It's like, oh shoot, like this stuff like this exists. And maybe I need to get into it a little more. I felt the same way with our guy, Snoop D-O-double-G.
Yeah.
In the booth calling Brewers games. He was playing a concert at the casino that I've lost a lot of money at. So he's playing there. He gets in the booth. I think Beebs has got a little bit of it for us to listen to.
Electric, by the way.
Electric. So that alone to me was refreshing because he's a guy that clearly doesn't watch a lot of baseball. He's not going to sit around and watch baseball games, but he got in the booth and was calling the games, and like his enthusiasm for it was refreshing.
There's a bouncing ball to second. Look at Terrain picking. Easy to 1-2-1-2. That'll do what it do.
Like you don't want this all the time, but you get it every once in a while, and it's refreshing.
Well, taste is awesome.
That's yes, I told you, baby. We call that an easy walk in the park. That's the base hit. Give him a single.
He starts talking about Christian Yelich, his guy. You can't let the pitcher beat you. Yelich steals second base. He's all about it. It's just refreshing to hear him in the booth, right?
This is the one.
Get it in there. He could just run it out, run it out, run it out, run it out. Ah, he's safe.
He's Snoop.
But it's awesome. But he highlighted, I think, what was the most refreshing part to me, and it kind of like took me back and like, oh, I need to enjoy this a little bit more than I do on a regular basis. It was when he was watching Elly De La Cruz play. No way he's got that. No way he's got that. Elly fires one over to first base. Oh my gosh, he's got a rocket in his pocket. And he starts like marveling at this guy's play. And it got me thinking, like, I've watched a lot of Elly. I know how good he is, but I think we're like still undervaluing what he brings to the sport. He is probably the most physically gifted person in all of baseball. And that's like not like hyperbole. Check this out. Yeah, this is Snoop calling.
I'm a player. Get up in there. Oh, he's saying if he can't throw that, he ain't got no arm like that. No, he don't.
Oh, he does, though.
No, he don't.
Oh, he does.
Is that what that right?
They're like, no, he does. He's got that. The one play I wanted to highlight in particular, because he's been doing it on defense this year, which I think is really important to point out.
Yes.
So he's 95th percentile, outs above average. Already got 5. We know about the arm strength. It's there. Sprint speed is in the 100th percentile. He's the fastest guy in the game. So there was a play where they tried to pick him off at second. It wasn't really a particularly close play, but they bobbled the ball. It leaks into the outfield, and then this happens.
Oh,
Everything just
timeout.
refreshed on me.
I'm putting
That
Beavers on
was-
it right now.
that was.
Watch this happen. Like, this is the stuff that makes him so unique. There's not even a stop, man. Like, there's no hesitation whatsoever. Nobody in the game does that. Like, stuff like this it's insane what he's able to do on the field. So we got to continue to pay attention to Elly De La Cruz. Watch him on defense. Watch him run the bases. The batting will come around. I think he'll figure it out. He's struggled since the start of May with the stick. I think OBP around 299, I think it is. But that'll come. He's 22 years old. I think the stick will come, but we're watching one of the elite talents play the game of baseball. And when I saw this, I was like, I need more Elly De La Cruz in my life, dude. Like, he is an absolute monster. So I wanted to give him some love. Snoop Dogg called it out. He was also saying, like, he loved Jonathan India. I think he called him Indica at one point, which was perfectly on brand. The whole thing to me was just awesome. So I wanted to highlight it. The refreshing award.
Trev, beautiful. I mean, Snoop, your guy in the booth, just showing again that entertainment plays, which, you know, we've talked on and off the record about some of the current MLB booths, and I don't know, if Snoop can do it, I think we can find some more performance enhancing guys to add to the booths and girls. And then Elly De La Cruz. For me, seeing that play was kind of like, yeah. And Snoop nailed it. Because I think that's always one of the cool things when there's celebrities that you could tell are actual, like, sports people. Like, yeah, Snoop's probably not watching every Dodgers game or every baseball game, but he's a sports guy. Like, he did all that, like, flag football stuff in LA.
Yes,
like, he's a sports guy.
Yes.
That, you know, Snoop knows what baseball looks like. And Elly De La Cruz playing shortstop, that ain't been what baseball looked like. He's kind of like baseball's Wembanyama right now. Like, it's tough when you mention talent. I mean, Shohei always has an argument in these conversations, but what Elly's doing athletically, we just haven't seen. And that play from a shortstop is sicko stuff.
That's the hardest play a shortstop can make, is a slow backhanded ball. Coming in on that, having to backhand it and throwing over to first base is the hardest throw you have to make, and he just, like, wristed it over there at 95 miles an hour. He's a nut.
And let's get him some more games, because you're right. I mean, there will be more improvement. He's at a 118 OPS plus, which is really strong, especially if we did OPSS, if you added his steals.
Yes.
But yeah, he's got the same amount of walks as he did last year in 27 less games, so that's a good sign.
The walk percentage is up. It's the whiffs, the Ks and the swing and miss. But he'll figure that out.
He leads the NL in strikeouts, which, you know, I think with more experience, I think he can get better at that. He is a special guy, so I'm glad you highlighted him. And hey, MLB booths, have some fun. It works.
Also in that series, the day after I give my bunt rant, Blake Perkins pops one up to end the game.
Yeah.
But then Yelly did it 2 days later.
Yeah.
The bunt is hot, bro. The Brewers know you fight and you bunt. That's how you win baseball games.
I drink and I know things. Brewers, I almost gave you guys an award because you didn't get talked about a lot this episode, and you guys win another series against the Reds. That's 8 straight against the Reds. I was going to give them the Who's Your Daddy award. Because, man, I get excited about the Reds and the Brewers. They just do their thing in the Central. Cardinals, I said I was going to put some chips on the table. Screw them all. And that's what I think I'm going to go. I was going to say down with the Union, but that sounds like a dumb award.
Okay.
Because I think historically I'm not about that. I'm going to go with down with the man. Yeah. I'm talking
Rage Against the Machine.
I'm talking Trevor Plouffe, hacky sacking, music's loud, don't care, going through stop signs.
Don't like that. Nope. Definitely a stopper at stop signs.
It's going to my Nats, bro. Yeah, as we walked through it and we said the Nats are our team, I'm in. They've gone through the rebuild. They're sitting here. None of the other teams have won us over. We talk prospects a lot, Trev. And I was clicking through the Nats team, and I was like, what do we got going on here? Like, okay, C.J. Abrams is happening. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Lane Thomas has kind of been happening. Great. The young pitchers, I've said it twice now, but DJ Hurts, the 23-year-old with 6 innings, 13 Ks. Mackenzie Gore has been great this year, 25 years old. Mitchell Parker has been great, 24 years old. Jake Irvin, you know why I like him. James Wood, one of the prospects on our radar, big boy, part of a big trade. You know, a guy we're like, yeah, you know, he probably gets a call this year. I was like, you know what? I'm a baseball guy. Let me go check out what the big fella's doing at AAA. You know, am I going to click and he's got a 701 OPS and he's like, The big fella in 45 games of AAA this year is 355, 465, a 1.062. So, Nats, I'm in on you. If you call up Big James Wood, let's go. And why not? What are we waiting for at this point? Trade Eddie Rosario to the Braves so he starts hitting again. Call up James Wood. Let's make the wild card, and let's turn baseball around in Washington.
They have the pitching to do it. They do.
That's the whole thing we've been talking. If you've got young arms contributing right now, get
Go
some
do
hitting.
it.
That's what we said about Pittsburgh. Screw them. Let's go Nats.
Those are two teams that are they're eerily similar in where they're at in their window. Like, what are you going to do about this young pitching? Because I think my take on all of that has changed as we've seen. And again, I don't know if there's like statistically more pitcher injuries this year or just seems that way. But when you have guys throwing the pill and they're healthy, go do something about it. Don't wait. Don't wait for what's inevitably going to come. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
You got to go out and do it. I like that. I think we will see Wood at some point this year. And that is, I mean, they are missing some offense. There's no doubt about it. They've had some games, they had some guys go for them. But by and large, collectively as a team, it just hasn't really happened. I mean, you're talking 23rd in runs, 24th in OPS. They can steal though. They get on base, they going. So they're a fun team to watch play the game of baseball. I like watching them play defense. I'm very curious to see what direction they take. There's so many teams. I feel like I've said that 4 times this episode alone. There's so many teams that have big time decisions to make, real decisions to make. And you know what's funny is there's only so many guys out there. So some of these teams are going to get left at the dance.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be from lack of trying. And I hope the Nationals aren't one of them. I hope they kind of add from within and then add for real. Analytics.
Yeah, I think they've entered for me a little bit of like, get these young guys playing competitive games that matter, And I think that'll be more important than the prospect you get back for Jesse Winker.
I am huge on that. Go play some meaningful baseball at the big league level. Really get that. I don't think there's anything that prepares you for the rest of your career than playing in meaningful baseball. I wish I got to play more of it. I think I would have been a better player. I really do. So I agree with you there. And me and Jimmy actually took the over on the Nationals while you took the under.
Huh.
At 66.5.
Jesus. Well, tough ending for me. Great ending for the Nats. Great ending for Trevor and BBD.
I got one more thing.
One more
I'll
thing.
run this by you. I'm putting this out in the world because the Twins got their City Connects. They're all about the lakes, right? 10,000 lakes. And they sent out a tweet like, it's going down Sunday at the lake. Or meet us. They said something about the lake. And I was like, man, like, are we referring to Target Field as the lake now? And it's like not really a thing, but I want to make it a thing. What do you think of that?
The lake.
Like, meet me at the lake for some pops and we'll watch a game. Like, I think the lake is a cool thing to call that stadium. Now, Target might be upset about that.
Yeah.
But maybe they buy into it. I think it's a great name. I want to do it. The merchandising that they could do from it is incredible. A lot of Twins fans were into it.
Do they have a water feature? Because if you're going to...
No, that's what I'm saying. They got to add one.
Yeah.
They got to add something.
If they add a water feature, I'll be in. But yeah, otherwise you can't do that.
They got like this big section in right field. They could just put a little pond there, you know?
Yeah.
Or like, you know, when you go to Bass Pro Shops where they have the big tank and they have all the fish swimming, like maybe something like that.
Hell,
if we put some pike behind the plate like Miami used to have, the aquarium.
I was just going to bring up the aquarium. That, for whatever reason, that hits a talking baseball chord with us.
The lake.
I'm in.
Royce Lewis, the Loch Ness Monster.
I'd want,
man, there's so much there.
I'd want them to lean in so hard, like every homer, a guy's got to go in and like reel in a big fish or something. Like,
it really is what Minnesota's all about. They love the lakes.
Oh, the lakes, eh? Yeah, I was gonna head up there this weekend, but have you seen this Royce Lewis? How he's hitting the ball?
I'm telling you, man. Just Twins officials, branding experts, just think about it. Talk to Target. It could be called Target Lake. I don't care.
He's reminded me of Corey Koski a little bit. He's looking really good over there. Thank you to everyone.
Let me know what you think.
Comment, tweet at Trevor Plouffe. We'll see you guys with a midweek. It could be a funky one. It's a funky week.
Chick sucks.
Could be a funky end of week.
The boys are banging down the lake.
We're going to be in person in a couple days. Oh, boy.
Might bang by a lake.
I'm starving right now.
Hungry.
Baseball today, Chris Rose. Trevor Plouffe.
This is how I look.